So you've got a big exam on the horizon, right? It can feel like you're planning this huge trip into totally unknown territory. You know where you want to end up, success, but what's the best way to get there? Well, think of this as your personal map, your guided tour of one of the most important English tests in the world. You know, for millions of people, the answer to that question is the TOEFL IBT. It's literally the key that can unlock doors to universities and all kinds of opportunities. So what's actually on this test? What's the deal? Let's check out the itinerary for our little tour. All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the absolute basics. What even is the TOEFL? Then we'll dive deep into each of the 4 sections: reading, listening, speaking, and writing. And we'll finish up by mapping out your own path to success. Sound good? Let's get started. Our very first stop is a simple one, but it's absolutely crucial. We've got to understand what this test is all about. Seriously, knowing its purpose is the foundation for everything that comes next. The name kind of gives it away, right? Test of English as a Foreign Language. But the most important part, the part you really need to focus on, is that last bit, at the university level. This is not about just chatting with friends. It's designed specifically to see if you're ready for the academic world. And the whole test is built around these 4 pillars. Each one is designed to measure a core language skill you're going to use every single day in a university setting. And don't worry, we're going to visit every single one of them on this tour. Okay, let's head to our first major stop, the reading section. This whole part is designed to see how well you can understand academic writing. You know, the kind of stuff you'd find in a college textbook right from day one. Just take a look at the kind of text you're going to see. It's dense, it's academic, and it's full of very specific words. You're not going to be reading simple stories here. You're going to be breaking down scientific and historical passages that look just like this. And here's a classic question you're almost guaranteed to see. It asks you to figure out what a word means just from its context. This is a test of your vocabulary, for sure, but it's also a test of how well you can make logical guesses based on what you've just read. But, oh, it gets more complex. Some questions are way more than just finding a single answer. You actually have to organize the information. Here, you'd need to read the whole passage and then correctly sort the facts. This tests a much, much deeper level of understanding, kind of like how you'd have to pull together information for a research paper. All right, next up, time for the listening section. So now we're moving from the written word to the spoken word. This part tests your ability to understand English as you'd actually hear it in and around a university campus. So what are you going to hear? Well, it's a mix. You might hear part of a professor's lecture, maybe about something like the potlatch ceremony, or it could be a super casual chat between 2 students trying to figure out which gym to join. You'll even hear practical stuff, like an announcement about a class being moved. This gives you a little taste of what one of those lectures might sound like. The speaker will be clear, but the topic itself might be complex. You've got to listen for the main ideas, the important details, and what the speaker is trying to do. And listen, taking notes here is absolutely key, because unlike the reading section, you only get to hear this once. No replays. So we've covered taking information in, both by reading and listening. Now we're shifting gears to putting information out. The speaking section isn't about what you understand. It's all about how well you can put together and express your own thoughts and ideas out loud. So there are basically 2 different kinds of speaking tasks. The first one is called independent, and it's all about you, your experiences, your opinions. The second is integrated, which is where you have to combine information from something you read and something you hear and then talk about it. This is a lot like a real university class, where you read an article, listen to the professor, and then have to jump into the discussion. Here is a perfect example of an independent task. It's personal, it's familiar, and it asks you to build a quick, logical response with specific details. But here's the kicker. You'll get just 15 seconds to prepare and only 45 seconds to speak. It goes by in a flash. Our final stop on this tour of the core skills is the writing section. This is where you have to build clear, organized, and well-supported written arguments. Exactly what you'd be expected to do for any university class. Okay, now this is really, really important, so listen up. The writing section has been updated. It's been changed to better reflect the kind of writing you will actually do at a university. The tasks are way more modern and practical than they used to be. So let's look at 2 of these new tasks. On one side, you have something that looks just like an online class discussion forum. Your goal is to state your opinion and back it up. Then, on the other side, you might have a more direct task, like writing a quick email to make a recommendation. Both of these test how you communicate in a real-world academic setting. So, for that academic discussion task, the process is super clear. You'll read the question from the professor, then you'll see what a couple of other students have already written, and then it's your turn to jump into the conversation. This is exactly like posting on a class discussion board, which is a super common assignment these days. And that brings us to the end of our guided tour. We've seen all the big landmarks of the TOEFL IBT. So let's just do a quick recap of the highlights to make sure you've got the map for your own journey crystal clear. So what's the big takeaway here? It's this. The TOEFL is not just a vocabulary test. It is an integration test. It's measuring your ability to read, listen, speak, and write, all within an academic context. Being successful means you don't just know English, you know how to use it, to analyze, to synthesize, and to communicate complicated ideas. You know, every big journey, no matter how long, starts with that one first step of just getting ready. Now that you've seen the map and you've toured the terrain, the only question left is, are you ready to start your journey?